All right, and welcome back. It's to Rapid Dawn right here on Rapid TV's channel 176 on Start. And of course, we are available on our social space on Facebook, Instagram, and of course on X. And today is Labor Day. It's May 1, 2025, the start of something new, and of course, a time to appreciate all the workers all over the world. And I'm going to be having a little chat with my guest. He's a worker of many years, and I'm wondering, when is he going to retire? But I mean, we like to have people like himself so that it makes you feel that, oh, you don't have to be lazy. You just have to keep working hard because it keeps your body and soul together. It's so great to have a chat with Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Cynthia, very well.
When are you going to get tired of working?
I don't think I will ever get tired of working.
Really?
Why? What else am I going to do? Sit at home and watch TV?
Rest?
No, rest. Rest is when you pass away, you can rest for eternity.
Oh my God. Okay. So today is May 1st, it's Labor Day, someone would call it Workers' Day. I mean, you have been a worker of many years. You have labored for many years. How would you describe it then and now?
Then and now, well, when I first came to Nigeria, which was way, way back in the 70s, we could afford to live on our salaries. Even I can remember as a university lecturer at the University of Nigeria, I could afford a car. I mean, university used to give us interest-free loans. So in those days, you could buy a new car, although the prices were a little bit less than now, every 2 years.
A little bit or so less.
So. I bought my first car was a, what was it, a French, what do you call them? Not Citroen, whatever, Renault 12 TL. I paid the huge sum of 2,200 naira.
Oh my God!
Which today hardly buys a loaf of bread.
That was a huge sum. I mean, at that time.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was. Yeah.
And so, like, what is it now?
What is it now? You can't afford to buy a second-hand car every 10 years now. And I was just doing a little bit of calculation the other day. If I compare, like, from the early 80s, when salaries were still low, I was receiving as a university lecturer, I think I was receiving 1,000 naira a month.
Wow.
But on that 1,000 naira a month, I could afford to pay back my car loan. I could afford to travel out once, even twice a year. If you compare that ability to shall I say, live, spend money, compared with today, it's nothing. In fact, today, an average, I guess a manager will receive between 300 and 500,000 naira. Today, to have the same spending power as in the 1980s, pre-SAP, you'd have to receive a salary between 4 to 5 or even more million naira every month to have the same spending living power of now. So the Nigerian workers have been failed by, I'm sorry to say, by the labour unions, in my view. They've not fought hard enough for workers' rights, workers' salaries. Look today, workers can be laid off at any moment. Their salaries cannot pay for hardly even pay for feeding, let alone transport, medical, education. You've got to feed your children, you've got to educate your children. How is that possible on the salaries
Minimum
we're
wage
getting today? It's not possible.
What do you think about the clamoring for minimum wage? You see, I mean, after so much debate, they agreed on 70,000. And it's almost like, oh, okay, now you have your 70,000 and now you want more.
Now you need more. Even that 70,000 has become... I can remember General Yakubu Gowon, head of state, 1970s. 1973, we had the Adoji Awards, which gave government workers, I was working for the university, so I was a government worker, an increase of 135%. Huge increase in salary. But within weeks, the cost of living and the cost of stuff in the markets had risen beyond that, so there was no gain. It was written off within weeks. I think the only thing I bought was a generator. That was my first purchase. So even then we had NEPA problems. And of course it was ECN, which we always said stood for extra candles needed.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't as bad as now.
Extra candles needed.
But it wasn't as bad as
Oh.
now. It's definitely got a lot worse now.
All right, so we're going to pause on you, Mr. Brooks, and we're going to look at a brief, let's say, brief history of Labor Day. We have about 3 different aspects to the Labor Day in different places. Labor Day in the US, how the Labor Day came to be. So let's first of all start with the first video on our Labor Day. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our channel. Today, we're celebrating a day dedicated to the backbone of society, the working class. That's right, it's May Day, also known as International Workers' Day. For over a century, May 1st has been a time to honor the struggles and achievements of workers around the world. We'll be diving deep into the history of this important day, exploring its significance, and learning how it's celebrated today. So, buckle up and get ready to learn something new. The fight for fair working conditions has a long and arduous history. In the 19th century, many workers toiled in harsh environments for long hours and low wages. As industrialization boomed, so did the need for change. One of the most influential events shaping May Day was the Haymarket Affair in Chicago, 1886. Workers rallied for an 8-hour workday, a concept that seems basic today, but back then, it was a radical idea. The event tragically turned violent, but its impact resonated globally. Those who toil and earn are the pillars of the state. Socrates. This sentiment, expressed by Socrates centuries ago, was at the heart of the May Day movement. Workers realized their collective power and demanded fair treatment. Throughout history, workers across industries have fought for better treatment, from garment factory workers in the early 20th century to the sanitation workers' strike in Memphis, 1968. May Day has served as a rallying cry for change. Martin Luther King Jr., during his powerful speech in support of the Memphis sanitation workers, said, "What is it that America has done to earn this? It is a crime for people to have to work in subhuman conditions." This quote highlights the human cost of unfair labor practices. Today, May is celebrated in over 80 countries. While the core message of worker solidarity remains, the ways it's observed have evolved. In many countries, May Day is a national holiday with parades, speeches, and cultural events. Labor unions use this day to advocate for worker rights, including fair wages, safe working conditions, and access to health care. May Day isn't just about national concerns. It's a day to show international solidarity. Workers across the globe face similar challenges, and May Day serves as a reminder of the power of a united voice. The world of work is constantly changing. Technology is automating tasks, and the gig economy is on the rise. As we move forward, May Day reminds us to consider the future of work and ensure that advancements benefit both workers and society as a whole. The balance of power is shifting towards the workers. Sheryl Sandberg, low platforms. This quote from Sheryl Sandberg captures the current trend. May Day can be a platform to discuss how to ensure technological advancements and changing work environments empower workers, not replace them. So there you have it. May Day is more than just a day off. It's a day to celebrate the contributions of workers, reflect on the fight for fair treatment, and look towards a future where work is fulfilling and rewarding for everyone. We encourage you to learn more about May Day and the labor movement in your country. May Day reminds us that together, we can make a difference. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this video has been informative.
All right, so that's a brief thing. Now, one thing is universal about the Labor Day or May Day or Workers' Day is the fact that every country in the world, you know, recognizes that our workers have one similar problem, which is earning well, workers' welfare, being treated right. But I will not turn to Mr. Brooks. I mean, you've lived for a very long time. So you're in, not forever, but a very, very long time. So you're in the best position to tell. While we were on that video, there were some issues we were trying to raise, which is the fact that some of the things we're enjoying now didn't used to be there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to have weekends. Oh, I want to have holiday. Oh, I want to have this. Let's talk about that, how it was in the past.
Okay, well, I understand that from my experience, I had early 19th century, the 1870s, 80s, I think, people didn't get time off. They didn't get days off. They were lucky if they had like Sunday off to go to church for the Christians. Things like weekends off were unheard of. So everybody, and the working hours, they would work from dawn to dusk. And then there was even little control on child labour. Children as young as 7 or 8 were working in factories. So we think we're hard done by now. We were definitely better, a little bit better than what occurred in those days. And the concept of holidays was not there. It was only in the late 1890s, I think, 1880s probably, that the concept of giving workers 2 weeks off or whatever was realised, that it helped in terms of workers' ability to work. You know, the more rested the workers were, the more productive they were. In those old days, the factory bosses made people work till they drop. And if somebody fell asleep and fell into the machinery, just too bad. There was no compensation for industrial injuries in those days.
Wow.
So we're a little better off. And it's only because of the trade union movement that these things have become possible. So the trade union movement has a very historical and very vibrant part of this history. Very important as well, that without trade unions, without an active trade union movement, people would still be suffering. And of course, we have to remember that some people, we're lucky in Nigeria generally. There are parts of the world, including Africa, Asia, where people literally are still working like in the bad old days. Children are still working at a young age, suffering and not being have the ability to be educated and grow up. People are working long hours. Even we should touch on the aspect of slavery. Slavery is part of the problem, because some people are basically slaves to their owners in some parts of the world. So slavery has not disappeared, and slavery was always tied up with labour. Of course, that's why we had slaves. That's why they brought slaves from Africa to Americas, because of work. Because the indigenous people and the people who came, including the Asians and the Indians, couldn't work the hours under the sun that the Africans could. So this is all part of slavery. Labour is all part of the same history. And we have to keep remembering this important fact.
All right. We do have another video that talks about the origin of the Labor Day in different parts of the world. And just to let you know, for those who are not very familiar, Labor Day is an annual day of celebration of the labor movement and, of course, its achievements. So if you hear me talk about the labor movement, it's not the NLC labor movement, it is the one that happened many years ago. And it has its origins in the labor union movement, specifically the 8-hour day movement, which advocated 8 hours for work, 8 hours for recreation, and 8 hours for rest. So this is how it was broken down. So you have 8 hours, 8 hours, and 8 hours. Well, let me turn to you, Mr. Brooks. Are we really following this 8 hours? Because some of us don't even get 8 hours of sleep sometimes. So do we really have this? Are we really following this labor union movement? What they really agitated for? Are we really following it right now?
Are we talking about the employers imposing these rules, or ourselves personally? I see these
Well,
days,
we can't do anything without the employers.
I know, but what I'm seeing is people impose their own restrictions these days. People, you've got your mobile phone with you. Mobile phones have taken over people's lives. As soon as they go to sleep, before they sleep, they put their mobile phones down beside their bed. As soon as they wake up, they pick up their mobile phones. So they become a slave, not to the slave owner, but the slave to the
mobile phone.
To the mobile phone and social media, I think.
So it's taking part of the 8 hours.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so let's do a little calculation. So you have 24 hours. Let's say you wake up by, let's say averaging, not like me now that has to leave earlier because I have to be with you, my love. So let's talk about the person who just goes to an office in the morning. Let's say you resume work 7, 8 in the morning, and let's calculate it. So you work from, let's say 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you close by 4. That is if you're not living in Lagos. Because if you're living in Lagos,
traffic problem.
You have to include the traffic problems in your hours. So you're living in Abuja, within the center where it's easy to move around. So you close by 4, and then you go home. You have 5, 6. Okay, well, it works, but that's not the reality.
No, we're rapid. We know we wake up at 4. We're in the office by 6.
Yes.
We close at 8:39.
Okay.
So we have slightly tougher working hours. Of course, this is also a worldwide problem, and it's being addressed by some countries in terms of when people leave their work or when people are at weekends. A lot of the companies expect them to respond to emails and during that time, even though they're off work. I think only a few countries, I think Japan is one, have made into law that as an employer you cannot be forced to be available.
Yes, once
or
in your work hours.
For communications at your leisure hours or your rest hours at the weekends or after your work.
I think that's a good idea.
Because that's so often, we all know that, the boss calls at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midnight, discuss something that's going to happen the next day. So you're not really resting.
Okay, let's now check out this other, just to enlighten you more about the Labor Day. We'll be right back.
How's this for a strange idea? A day off from work in honor of work itself. Actually, that is what Labor Day, celebrated in the United States and Canada on the first Monday of every September, is all about. The first American Labor Day was celebrated in New York City on September 5th, 1882, as thousands of workers and their families came to Union Square for a day in the park. It was not a national holiday, but had been organized by a union to honor workers and their hard efforts with a rare day of rest, halfway between July 4th and Thanksgiving. There were picnics and a parade, but there were also protests. The workers had gathered not just to rest and celebrate, but to demand fair wages, the end of child labor, and the right to organize into unions. During the period known as the Industrial Revolution, many jobs were difficult, dirty, and dangerous. People worked for 12 hours, 6 days a week, without fringe benefits such as vacations, health care, and pensions. And if you were young, chances are you were doing manual labor instead of your ABCs and fractions. Children as young as 10 worked in some of the most hazardous places like coal mines or factories filled with boiling vats or dangerous machines. Trying to win better pay, shorter hours, and safer conditions, workers had begun to form labor unions in America and Canada. But the companies they worked for often fought hard to keep unions out and to suppress strikes. At times, This led to violent battles between workers and business owners, with the owners often backed up by the police or even the military. In the following years, the idea of Labor Day caught on in America, with official celebrations reaching 30 states. But then came the violent Haymarket Square riot of 1886, which led to the deaths of several policemen and workers in Chicago and the execution of 4 union leaders. After that, many labor and political groups around the world had begun to mark Haymarket Square on May 1st, which became known as International Workers' Day. In 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed the law making Labor Day a federal holiday in America, only days after he had sent 12,000 soldiers to end a violent railroad strike that resulted in the death of several people. The original September date was kept, partly to avoid the more radical associations of May 1st. Canada also created its Labor Day in 1894. But in spite of this new holiday, it would be a long time before the changes that workers wanted became a reality. In 1938, during the Great Depression that left millions without jobs, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed a law calling for an 8-hour workday, a 5-day work week, and an end to child labor, some of the first federal protections for American workers. As America and Canada celebrate Labor Day, most of the two countries' children enjoy a day off from school. But it is important to remember that there was a time that every day was a Labor Day for children in America and Canada. And unfortunately, the same fact remains true for millions of children around the world today.
Of course, children will always love every opportunity to not go to school, to stay at home, and, just spend time with the family. Now, I still have Mr. Brooks right here, and of course, we're still talking about the Labor Day, exploring it from different sides, how it's been. Let's come back home to Nigeria, where today we even hear that the NLC is going to rally. And when I checked the stories on our national dailies, it talks about them, agitating for increased minimum wage. Do you think that the problem or the solution is for them to increase the minimum wage?
Not really, because more money doesn't help people, because more money... let me go back historically. I remember when I mentioned earlier the Adoji Awards in 1973 or 4, whatever it was. Within days, the increase was overtaken in the markets. The cost of living rose even beyond what it was before. And this is what's happening again. The solution, it can only be bringing back the petrol subsidy to lower the cost of transport. Of course, transport is another issue for workers. Nowadays, it's normal for workers, including ourselves. Many of us sleep in their offices because they can't afford to travel to their homes, particularly in places like Abuja, where the cost of rent is very high in central areas, so people tend to live very far off the access, because they have to live in areas where they can afford to pay the rent, which is affordable. So this is another problem. This is where the government should have stepped in. We had before, I remember when I first came to Abuja, like 5 years ago, buses which moved around. They were quite cheaper, I remember. For 100 naira, you could travel a fair distance. Well, I don't think I see them anymore. I don't know what happened. There should be affordable bus services so people can get to their places of work.
These buses, are they ministry buses or not commercial
buses? They were
or government buses?
Yeah.
Okay.
But even if they're private individuals set up bus service, the government could help support them by giving them maybe giving them the buses, or giving them on a soft loan, or even partially paying for the cost of maintaining and running them. This would go a long way. And of course, the cost of living in the cost of food in the market is huge. And I wonder how much of that cost is because of the insecurity in the country. Because a lot of farmers can't get to their fields anymore, particularly in the north. And this problem, as we know, is spreading even all over Nigeria, not just in the north, through kidnappings and terrorism and such. So all these things affect the cost of living. And it's the total cost of living which is the problem. Even, okay, let's take something like schools. Before primary education, is it still free? No.
It depends.
Used to be free. There was free free primary education. Even the hospitals, government hospitals. When I came to Nigeria in the 70s, we went to government hospitals. They're affordable. I worked in one anyway. I worked at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. People came, rich and poor, to the hospitals as normal. People did, only few people patronized the private hospitals because the government hospitals were good, they were cheap and staffed by, now where's the doctors? I understand Nigeria is now short of 300,000 trained doctors because they've japad out of the country. So this is the kind of problem we're facing all the time.
A number of issues that you've raised that needs to be attended to, and the good thing is that the government is not ignorant of these issues, but a lot of Nigerians are concerned. Why aren't they doing anything? In fact, I saw the report where it stated that the doctors we have in Nigeria still here, because I know that some are still planning to leave. The doctors we have in Nigeria are not enough to take care of the population currently, that if we have to need medical support, we don't pray for any major disease, virus, or outbreak. We don't pray for that, because if that happens, God forbid, we don't even have the medical personnel to handle this sort of issues. We don't have the numbers. Just the same way we don't even have enough security personnel as well. So it's a problem. It's a really big problem. I must say that we've had a lot of talk regarding to it, and thank you so much, Mr. Bruce. But before I let you go, let's look at the aspect of what can be done. Let's look at solutions. Today is Workers' Day, today is Labor Day, and it's not just for only Nigeria alone, all over the world. What would you want to tell a worker out there, and what message would you want to give to the NLC on this Labor Day?
Well, what can I say to the people? Manage. How can they manage? It's difficult. What do we tell to the NLC? Please keep fighting for the people. Fight for the rights of the people. That's the only way we can. It's the only organization which is fighting for workers' rights. Is it? We only have one NLC. We don't have any other one. So they're the ones who must carry the fight on. And carries on to the finish and take the fight to the government.
All right. Have you enjoyed yourself working in Nigeria?
Yes.
And Rapid?
And Rapid. Many places I've worked in Nigeria I've enjoyed.
Oh.
I've enjoyed Nigeria. I've enjoyed Nigerians.
Okay, that's good. I think we have one more short video on the Labor Day. Let's look at it, and then we'll come back. We will wrap up the show and, of course, give you some Labor Day excitement.
For millions of workers around the world, the 1st of May is their day. In the late 19th century, American labor unions were fed up. Fed up with being overworked, in dangerous conditions, and with little pay. So in 1884, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions met in Chicago and had one major demand: an 8-hour workday. And on May 1st, 1886, over 300,000 American workers went on strike. 3 days later, thousands of strikers met in Haymarket Square, where a riot broke out between cops and workers. A bomb was thrown into the crowd, killing several people. It was called the Haymarket Massacre. And today, May 1st is known as International Workers' Day. While every country's workers have a different history behind May Day, they all commemorate those who have and continue to give their lives for workers' justice.
All right, that it is over there. So just to give you a bit of information, I did tell you that some of Nigerians are making us proud all over the world. There is hardly a place that you are not going to see Nigerians, and we just have a way of, planting our seeds, making our marks in these different places. One of such is Dr. Ikenna Omeje. And story broke out, renowned cardiac surgeon from Nsukka, Dr. Ikenna Omeje, performs UK first by operating on girl born with a heart outside her chest in Leicester City. Leicester rather, at the city, like a football, the football club in Leicester. And let's look at the video of how the reports. When I saw it, I was really, really excited about it. But just to give you the bit of a story right there, the consultant cardiac surgeon, Dr. Ikenna Omeje, performs his pioneering UK first surgery on girl born with heart outside her chest in Leicester. And 7 years after Hope Wilkins was born with her heart outside her body, she returned to the University Hospital of Leicester, that is a NHS Trust, for a groundbreaking operation. And an expert team led by Dr. Ikenna Omeje, who hails from Nsukka in Enugu State, came together during the 8-hour operation at the East Midlands Congenital Heart Center at the Leicester Royal Infirmary to reconstruct her chest. And of course, the surgery is essential to protect her heart as she continues to grow. And Vanellope was diagnosed in the womb with an incredibly rare condition, ectopia cordis, in which the heart is abnormally located either partially or totally outside of the heart. This is groundbreaking. This is remarkable. And we'll just say, keep making Nigeria proud wherever it is that you go. Mr. Brooks, what do you think about that?
Yeah, this is very interesting. I was not aware of this before you discussed it. It reminds me of my early days in University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital in Enugu, where we did the very first open heart surgery in Black Africa in 1974. And I was fortunate enough to be behind the camera filming that particular operation, done by Professor Udeku and one surgeon from the United Kingdom. Very historic event then. So Nigeria and Nigerians continually to be the first in their fields. Exactly.
And with that, we'll say thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. I would have given you a high five, but you're far from me, so a high five. All right. And so, because it's Labor Day, we don't want to talk too much and keep you here. We just want you to enjoy lots of entertainment, a lot of music, till about 10. And of course, I think I should leave you now so that you can enjoy some music. But thank you so much for staying with me from 7 up until now. I had a great time with you, and I'm sure you had a great time with me. And you got to learn a lot. And of course, listen to Mr. Bruce talk about his experience as a labor man. And I will see you tomorrow morning, Friday, bright and early. And of course, don't forget to go to our social media platform on Facebook and Instagram and on X. You can visit us on our website, www.rbnradiotv.com. And you can go to our YouTube channel, Official Rappy TV, to watch all of our previous conversations right there with our guests right there on YouTube. My name is Cynthia Agbo, the same name across all social platforms. I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.